All right, well, greetings, everybody. Welcome once again to the Rec Poker Podcast. As always, our official sponsor is Running Aces, Racetrack, and Casino. Two other sponsors, Learn Pro Poker and Website Amp. And in this Chats edition of the podcast, we're going to hang out with Samuli Sipila, just known him as Sam, but he is TheJudas. That is his name. He is a professional poker player from Finland. He's one of the beasts of poker pros. We're going to talk a lot about PLO, and a lot of you folks have been saying, let's talk a little bit about PLO. And so here we are tonight going to talk about that. But let's first introduce our panel. My name is Steve Fredland. I go by Rec Poker Steve in the home game on PokerStars. And Dan Reed said, you will show your poker greatness by the hands you fold, not the hands you play.
And I'm actually the first one up this time. I'm Jim Reed, Bluffsterini in the home game and @Hold'em_Steelers on Twitter. And I'm just here to tell you that if you're not taking game selection and bankroll management seriously, then you're not taking poker seriously. Stick to the unsexy stuff. It matters too.
I'm John Somsky, Poker Geek MN everywhere. And I have a quote from Doyle Brunson: poker is a hard way to make an easy living.
Rob, you want to jump in there?
I'm Rob Washam, Ramman 50 everywhere, and I've discovered that in the Orleans tournaments, bluffing is allowed and is preferred.
Rob is on this tour to find out who will let him bluff and who won't. Nice. Exactly.
And I'm Chris Jones, 5x5 on PokerStars and Twitter, and I was late joining tonight, so I don't have anything witty to say.
And you messed up Jim, because now alphabetically we were all messed up. But we actually started a little bit early. But a couple of quick things before we jump in. We're going to talk about these things later in the show, but I want to make sure that you are aware of them. As we've been saying, if you want to stay in the PokerStars Home Game Club, there's some things you have to do by the end of the year. Also, our free Jatin training sessions are now available for purchase. Seating is limited, so go to rec.poker, check that out there. We do have a bunch of coupons and giveaways that we're doing all over the place to give you discounts on that, including tonight. The members that are listening in, we are going to do a drawing for a coupon for one of those. And then save the date, January 27th is our Rec Poker Awards show. Super excited about that deal as well. So with that, let's jump in here. His name is Samuli Sipila, and I probably butchered that. He is a professional poker player.
It's very good.
Sam, welcome in, man. Welcome in.
Thanks. Nice to meet him.
We're really excited to have you. We haven't had you on yet. We're a couple hundred episodes into this deal, and we need a high-ranking PLO player to give us some credit. So welcome.
Yeah. Thank you.
Are you actually
very nice to be here? Not sure about the high-ranking part. But I mean, I've been around. I've been around for a while now.
I've been around. Yeah, you look like you're like 16, and you said, "Well, 10 years ago when I was playing this." I'm like, I don't think that was 10 years ago. But so, are you actually in? Are you in Finland right now, Sam, or where are you at?
I am, and it's the darkest day of the year here. Not that it matters too much because it's 2:30 a.m. here.
Yeah.
And
wow.
I gotta say, I haven't seen much of the sun. We're pretty far up there in the Nordic scale, so we get sun maybe from 8 a.m. until 3 p.m. And I usually wake up at 3:15 p.m. So we got that.
And so just to be clear, the darkest day of the year, we're recording this on the winter solstice. So in case people are nervous that you're having the darkest day of the year in Finland, it's literally the darkest day of the year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So let's hear a little bit about your story now. We're going to talk a little PLO strategy. We're going to talk a little bit about your experience with PLO, but just tell us a little bit about your journey. How did you get into poker? What are you involved with now? Tell us about that.
All right, sure. So I started poker quite young. That's what I was saying on the earlier a bit about how 10 years ago I did this and that. So I started when I was 14. My dad used to play. And it was kind of our mutual hobby, and it took off from there. And I started with sit and goes, then went to cash, busted my dad's bankroll, as one does when you're 14. Had a serious talk with dad. He told me, "Son, it's all right. Get a summer job." It wasn't much. It was a couple of $100. And I was telling my dad, like, sure. But on the back of my head, I knew, no. I knew that free rolls existed. I had full tilt points. I had everything. So sure enough, I started grinding free rolls, and then made some money and won tournament, paid my dad back, started chopping up the stakes. And when I was 18, I was playing 25, 50, no limit, heads up. So that kind of took off. But then eventually I found some other hobbies like sports betting and roulette and stuff that you shouldn't probably find when you're 19 or 18, and busted quite fantastically at that point.
That's an easy thing to do. Easier thing to do in those markets, that's for sure.
It is.
Now, have you always been online focused? Has there been a time where you played a lot of live, or has it really always been online?
I played live too. So when I busted my bankroll, there was one Finnish old-time professional who kind of wanted to back me and one of my friends, Joni Joukimainen. You might know him.
Yep.
It's a pretty known PLO player, party poker pro as well. So
I think he's actually going to be doing a blog series for us, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Joni. So yeah, I kind of toured EPT and other tournaments for a couple of years there with a unified bankroll with Mr. Joni. And it was a lot of fun for sure.
And I saw
mostly still, I would say I'm an online player.
Okay. And I saw somewhere you were asked in one of the interviews, I forget the magazine or whatever, but you were asked about your favorite tour stop, and you mentioned the Aussie Millions.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that. Is it because of the play you experienced in tournament? Is it the location? What's the story there?
Well, it's the location for me, and it's the time as well. So it's usually at the start of January, and the start of January in Melbourne is very nice. The start of January in Finland is not as nice. So that helps a lot. Then I actually managed to win one PLO tournament there. I won, I have their ring for 2.5K PLO tournament. So that's a pretty special memory. So
nice. Well, the reason I asked one of the folks in our chat, we have our members can sit in on these things. One of our members, Troy, is from Australia, and so he's now enjoying the fact that you're talking about how great Australia is. But he was asking how old you are now. Curious if you're willing to reveal that, because you're less than 60. I can tell that.
I'm 28. I'm
28. Okay, yeah. So an old man in the game.
I feel like it. Yeah.
Well, I want to start talking about PLO, because I'm kind of a human interest guy. I would just love to talk about your story for forever, but I know we don't get a lot of non-Hold'em folks on there, so I want to get an opportunity to kind of dig into some of the pieces there. And I'll get this started, and then I'll kind of let some of the wizards jump in here. But I was interested in one quote from a VIP Grinders article, and it's about pre-flops hand selection, because I played PLO some, but I don't play a lot. But when I play it just feels like the whole strategy at the recreational level just seems like everybody tried to play 90% of the hands, just limp. Everybody's playing 90%. And we play bingo, and then at one point I get the nuts, and somebody else has the nuts, and then by the river somebody else has the nuts, and just whoever happens to have the nuts last wins. That's what it feels like to me. And so I want to talk a little bit about hand selection in PLO, and the quote is this: every player in 2020 should know their pre-flop ranges like the back of their hands. This is a quote from you, by the way, in case anybody's wondering.
Yeah, I know.
However, to my experience, they do not, and they're not alone. Much to my own shame, even I still do pre-flop mistakes nearly every session I play. And I am a man who played nearly 500,000 hands last year with a decent win rate at the mid-stakes. The fact is that playing a perfect game pre-flop is hard and takes a lot of effort to master, something that not many are willing to do. And so maybe talk a little bit about, because from a real outsider's perspective, I look at pre-flop hand selection as sort of, it matters, but it really doesn't in PLO. Maybe shine a little bit of light on that for me.
Yeah, I kind of disagree with the aspect that it doesn't matter. I would start in every form of poker that you kind of want to learn strong fundamentals. You want to have a strong core which to build on, because poker is a very complex game. It's at some point you're going to face river check raise ranges and stuff like that. It's just going to be hard. So it matters a lot on which aspects you build your game on. So that's why you should start with a pre-flop, because it's the easiest one to learn too. You don't need as much tools or simulations or anything like that. And you often see in poker, in any form of poker as well, I think that if you do a mistake early on, it kind of multiplies when the action goes on. And one more point, like when you're playing your poker ranges, it's much easier to play as well. Like you're going to get, the spots are just going to be easier and you know better how to navigate them.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I just think that's what I'm seeing whenever I played is like people just, they kind of throw caution to the wind. They say, I'm just going to play every hand. And clearly it's a mistake. But you know, are there some, just maybe I'll just start here and let the wizards jump in. But what's a rough idea for a VPIP for PLO? Like just what's a general overall, what percentage of hands should we be playing in PLO? And I know it varies everywhere, but just generally.
Yeah, so in 6 max PLO, you usually see around 30. So you can go a bit tighter. So you're going to have winning players that play at 24 and winning players that play maybe at 34 or something like that.
And that's 6 max, you're saying?
That's 6 max, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's a lot lower than what I'm seeing in the PLO games that I'm seeing, because I think it's no limit hold'em players like, yeah, this is fun because everybody's just limping and I can just see a million flops, and how fun is that?
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's got to be like 80-90% for some people. Okay.
Now I'm a bit curious where are these games you play?
So Sam, we need to get you to come to Minnesota, play a $50 live PLO at Running Aces Racetrack Hotel and Casino, and you will crush, but you'll have fun doing it. And Minnesota's about where Finland is. We get the winter thing. We understand that deal.
All right, that's cool.
He's like, now where is this exactly? Mr. Sonsky.
Yeah, I was just going to ask. So I love mixed games. I play all sorts of them. PLO is probably my weakest of all of the mixed games. And I think it comes from the fact that I play so much Hold'em, and you see combinations that if you had that combination in Hold'em, that would be a winning hand. You know, you see the straight, and if you make the straight, you're likely to be winning. Whereas if there's a straight and a flush draw, then you need to be even more careful that someone isn't going to be getting the flush draw. Or in other words, I find myself drawing to the second best hand more often in PLO than it seems to happen in No Limit Hold'em. So for players who have played a lot of Hold'em, what are a few pieces of advice to get them started down toward playing good, sound, fundamental PLO?
Well, I think you kind of answered your own question there. Like, try to, when it comes to post flop, obviously there are a lot of more draws in PLO than in No Limit. So you should be, especially if they're multi-way, you should be always drawing to the nuts. So you want to have nut flush draws, you want to have nut straight draws. This is just because when you hit your cards, you want to be sure that you have the best hand. The smaller straights, it's very, let me rephrase, it's very easy to lose a lot of money with a small straight in PLO. It's so much more common in PLO than in No Limit.
Rob, did you have something?
Yeah, I play a little PLO online, really small stakes, maybe 10 cent, 25 cent type stuff on ACR or Ignition. And one of the things that I see is there's people that open a lot. They open raise. And I look down at my hand, and I don't care if I have 2 aces in it and they're suited. I usually don't open raise. I mean, what are the guidelines that you would use to open raise? And when you open, do you always raise, or is there limping involved in your strategy?
So I don't use a limping strategy in 6 max games at all. So when I'm getting into the pot, I come in with a raise of some sort. When you're asking about the aces, the usual guideline that I like to do is kind of see the stack to pot ratio that's left after the flop. So let's say that you have $100 and you get to 3-bet to 15. So now when opponent calls, the pot is going to be $30 and you're going to be having $85 behind. So now your stack to pot ratio is less than 3. That's quite easily playable with pair of aces. You usually can just go with it. There are some boards obviously that you're going to want to be more cautious, like Queen Jack 8, for example, and you just have the dry aces. You don't want to stack in there, but let's say the flop is like 10-4 deuce or something quite dry. You can quite comfortably just push the money in and make a decent chunk of the EV in chips.
And another thing, in Hold'em, we know that position is really, really important. And in PLO, do we have the same feeling that position is key?
Definitely, even more so than in No Limit Hold'em, because the equities in Pot Limit Omaha run so much closer than in No Limit Hold'em. So a random hand against a random hand in PLO, like even if I get dealt 4 random cards and the opponent has aces, I'm still going to have 30%. So if we have a lot of playability on flop, or like we have a lot of stack behind, I'm going to be able to do. I'm going to be able to cause a lot of trouble for you post flop if I have the button. And that goes even further. If you just add cards, like you play PLO 5, PLO 6, whatever, like when it works in every form of poker. When the equities run closer, the stronger the position comes.
Yeah, and Sam, you said you kind of came up in Heads Up No Limit, which is a game where you see a lot of wide ranges post flop. So you developed a great skill playing post flop with wide ranges. That feels like that would be a good aid in PLO, because you're also, it's harder to put people in exact boxes when it comes to ranging. Is that also part of it? Post flop becomes more important?
Yeah, kind of. But I do say that in all forms of poker, I usually vouch people to try Heads Up, just because you're going to make a lot of money post flop in every form of poker. Or if your whole poker experience is just to try to shove the money pre-flop in, you're going to miss quite a big part of the game. So I usually vouch for starting Heads Up, no matter if it's No Limit or Pot Limit. But definitely that comes up in PLO as well. You're going to see a bit more flops in PLO because you're supposed to. That's why it's more action.
Right.
So one of my, I'm also not that versed in PLO, but I've played a little. And one of my assumptions that I think I've come to is that the difference between tournament and cash game play in PLO is more significant than it is in Hold'em. Like there's just a bigger difference in when you're playing tournament versus cash. So I'm wondering if you can talk about the difference between those two in PLO, and what are some of the big strategy differences between playing tournament PLO versus cash PLO?
That's a good question. I mean, and it's quite hard one at the same time, because PLO is so much less sorted out than No Limit Hold'em. It's what we have in No Limit Hold'em. We have 1,300 combos approximately of starting hands. In PLO, we have 270,000. So it's going to take quite a lot of more processing power to solve PLO compared to NL. That's why you're going to see a lot more recreational players and even professionals who really don't quite yet have figured it out, even though they have the best computers and stuff like that. So the main difference, I would say it must be the ICM still. Like, I mean, it's a bit of a boring answer, but there is really no better feeling in poker in my mind than having a huge stack in a big PLO tournament when it's the bubble time. It's just pure pleasure, guys.
Right. I feel the same way. No Limit Hold'em. There's very few better feelings than that if you know how to
exactly. But think about it in PLO, because
because anything
the equities are closer and the ICM pressure is basically the same. So when you have a huge stack, you can really do
absolutely
pretty much whatever you like.
Yeah.
So one of the members in the chat, Keith, one of the good ones, made a comment. So
wait.
taking off
Keith,
on
one
that.
of the good members, or what? What does that mean? One of the good.
Yeah, that's right.
One of the good members.
Some of those other members know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Keith talks about. So you just mentioned there, Sam, about the idea of PLO sort of becoming more popular amongst recreational players. Now, part of that's because it's harder to solve, so you feel like it'll be around for a little longer. And is it? Can you talk a little bit more about that, or why it might be gaining popularity?
Well, yeah, I believe one of the reasons definitely is because No Limit is getting quite rocky. I mean, even the recreational players in No Limit seems to know quite a lot nowadays. And I'm kind of a recreational player nowadays in No Limit Hold'em, and I certainly still think that I know something of the game. But in PLO, it's so much less solved, and it's also a lot more action. And like Steve, you told me in your games, like 90% of the guys are playing pretty much every hand with limp. So you're going to see that way more in PLO because you don't get punished as quickly because some of those garbage hands that you shouldn't be limping are going to hit and you're going to get some returns, and that's going to create this like false image in your head that you should be playing this hand. Like you don't get punished as quickly in PLO than in No Limit Hold'em nowadays, I would say. And that's partly because PLO is still quite a bit softer and partly because of the equities running closer.
Yeah, so let's well, I have another question for you too before we get to some of the questions in the chat. But I'm questioning about what I've noticed in PLO, and again, I'm playing the smaller stakes, and I think a lot of the folks that are listening are also playing the smaller stakes. But my sense is that people really don't have the same pre-flop balanced ranges like you'd see in No Limit Hold'em, where you're sort of mixing in 3-bet bluffs along with 3-bet value. It feels like when people raise in PLO, especially a 3-bet, sort of thing, it's always suited aces, it's always suited kings, it's always some monster hand. Is that potentially a big hole in people's games that they're not balancing those ranges, or is that more of what you'd expect in PLO is a more unbalanced raising range because the equities are so tight together?
No, I mean you're definitely going to see balanced ranges, at least on the stakes that I play. I mean, even at the mid-stakes here, but and you can kind of quite easily attack if someone is only raising the aces. They're quite easy to play against, because you can just call them and navigate the flops. We get a tough flop for the aces and float him one time or whatever. But you're going to have some 3-bet bluffs, or not necessarily 3-bet bluffs, but you do have some 4-bet bluffs in PLO. So I actually just yesterday, or was it today? I can't remember. Played a hand where I 4-bet ace, queen, queen, 8, rainbow. It was a button against small blind, and I had to kind of check it afterwards, but it was 4-bet, and then if the guy goes all in, I have to fold my hand. So you're going to have some 4-bet bluffs, definitely.
And so that kind of leads into like one of the questions that Troy asked, one of our Australian friends, because he must be experiencing some of the same thing that I'm experiencing. At what stakes with PLO do you think that bingo element does start to die down, where it feels like it's moving from we're all just seeing flops and seeing who wins today to actually playing poker? At what stakes do you think that starts to change?
Well, if I had to make a guess, I would guess it's 25 cents, 50 cents, probably, because I know that there is some semi-professionals at least on those stakes. But then again, I haven't played for a while like that low, so I don't really know. I do play daily 1-2, and there's definitely some guys who like to bingo a lot. So it doesn't end there.
It doesn't. So it's not yet. You'll know when you see it. So guys, I think we got some of the questions answered in the chat too. There's some things about playing in position and popularity and things like that. Another question: are you playing? I'm not sure what 6-max Zoom is, so if you don't know, let me know. We'll get clarity. But are you playing 6-max Zoom or multi-tabling cash games?
At the moment, I'm trying to get the Party Poker's Diamond Elite, so that means $200,000 rake a year. And I'm playing fast forward tables mainly. So, I mean, in my most insane hour, I played 9 fast-forward tables at the same time. So that means I'm getting 1,600 hands per hour.
Good God, that's insane.
That's why I'm actually rocking this, because I got a tennis elbow. Because I have one of those mouses that you have shortcuts on
Is
on
that
the side.
right?
You need to get like some sort of like implant that just lets you work from your brain directly to the table. 9 tabling, a fast forward. But
I have to say I'm pretty much breaking even. But there is a quite high incentive, because the daily leaderboards that we actually talked a bit earlier. So if you play 1-2 and win the daily leaderboard, you get $1,000 from that straight away. And then some other, like the 200K rake mark that I talked earlier, the Diamond Elite, you're gonna get $30,000 for hitting that. So,
and for some of our members that aren't quite that familiar with the online system, basically this is like a rake back program where the more you play, the more points you accumulate. You can actually, even if you're breaking even on the tables, you can profit pretty handsomely through the rake back program. Is that right?
Yeah, so if I break even from the games, I still usually generate rake something like 1,500, and then I get the daily leaderboard win, and I get half of that 1,500. So that would mean that I get a 1.75K a day of grind, even breaking even at 1-2. But you have to play quite a lot, and it's not.
What is quite a lot? Like I'm so encaptured by this now. Like what does that look like to get on a leaderboard? How much are you playing on a day like that?
It depends quite a lot of the day. Like if the other guys are really battling for it. So it's usually. I mean, I used to get away with like only 8 hours a day, but now people have been starting to battle me a lot. So it's getting higher and higher each day, and the year is ending, and I'm trying to hit the 200K rake, and it's been a year.
And the higher the level, the higher the stake you're playing, the more rake that gets counted. So you end up in a race with the other players that are playing at the highest stakes. So in fact, even just breaking even at the highest possible stakes, playing defense enough that you can just win the rake back becomes kind of a skill in itself, as opposed to taking some chances and exploiting those players. Is that right?
Well, yes, but it's the daily leaderboards are capped by stakes. So 1-2 is the highest stake. You still have the leaderboard. I've been adding some 2.55, 510 tables there every once in a while, because why not? But well, the daily leaderboards is capped.
And to make it also clear for people who aren't used to playing a lot of online, this fast forward game that he's talking about, it's also known as Zoom, or known as Rush Poker when it came out on Full Tilt. It basically means that as soon as you decide you're folding a hand, you are moved to a brand new table with all of the player pools and dealt another hand immediately. So you never have any downtime. So he's playing 9 hands that are all in action at the exact same time. That is just phenomenal. I can barely handle doing 2 fast fold tables at the same time. Not that I'm any big deal, but 9 is just incredible.
It's probably, at this point, I have to say, it's probably not the smartest, even financially, for me. I've been just like, I got this need to get the Diamond Elite at some point, then I've been just raking it in. I probably would be smarter to drop the 9 to 7 and kind of triple my win rate and just lose a little bit of the rake. But I have to get the Diamond Elite. Because one of the prizes, by the way, one of the prizes in the Diamond Elite package was a trip to Bahamas, which was like, and a 5K tournament ticket. And that was a very big deal for me. Like, I wanted to get to Bahamas. It's quite dark in Finland. And now I'm worried for the COVID situation, because party this year, they held it at Party Poker. They just had some Bahamas theme. And next year, Party Poker better have it at the actual Bahamas. I don't count it. Yeah.
The theme isn't quite doing it. It's like getting to the final table and they put on fake lights. Like, oh,
yeah, a few little palm trees in the picture in the background.
Right. Yeah, you keep the background.
Yeah.
Look, I'm in the Bahamas. I think it's hilarious. Some of the comments coming through that people are saying, yeah, here you go. See, I'm in the Bahamas now. All of a sudden, I feel better about being in Minnesota now in the middle of December. All of a sudden, so like some of those people are saying, like, 8 hours at 16 hands an hour. That's crazy. That's amazing. Because you read some of the stuff that you have to do something 10,000 times to become an expert at it. Here you are doing that every day, becoming an expert. But yeah, that's pretty impressive. It's fun just seeing some of the comments.
I have breaks. I have breaks when I go and scream into a pillow for 15 minutes and then I come back.
Is that because of the results, or is that just because you're so overwhelmed, tired?
Just well, try it, Steve, and then you're gonna find out.
Dude, I can't. Okay, so we play these home games every night, right? Like on the Poker Stars, and then John has set up this thing. So on Saturdays we do the home game, No Limit Hold'em, and then we practice. We have a practice game that we can do for the next monthly mixed game because I don't play mixed games. So I'm sitting there playing two screens, and I've got one is Hold'em and one is 5-card draw, and I'm all messed up like what it is. I'm like, it's a single draw, so I take the draw, and then I got like a nice straight flush draw combo. So I call this big bet, and then there's a showdown, and I'm like, oh, I have king high. I can't even do 2 tables of Poker Stars. I can't even imagine what you're doing. So no, if you want to stake me, it'd be the worst money you've ever spent. Just put that.
I'm not sure about that.
I have a lot of bad money.
I have used my money spectacularly bad in my time.
What's the most spectacular thing you've done with your money, if you're willing to share?
Well, one thing that comes up to mind was this. I was traveling to a ski resort at Finland. It's like 5-hour drive, and I was having beer at the back seat and kind of scrolling through the Facebook, and I saw my friend post an ice hockey tip there, which was like, let's say, team Pittsburgh Penguins is gonna win Colorado Avalanche. Bet all your money in that one. And I was like, sure, let's go. That's quite a lot of money in it. And then just kind of informed him that, all right, yeah, I'm all in now. And he went, oh, hell no. It's actually the other way around. And sure enough, the match went the other way around. Oh. I didn't catch that one.
Oh, that's brutal. Chris, did you have something?
Yeah, well, actually, this relates. There was a question in the chat about whether I'll ask you this part first, and then the second part is: so do you use a HUD while you're playing for PLO?
I would, if party would allow it.
Okay.
I have to say though that I'm not one of these HUD wizards. Right. I mean, I have built my own HUD, and I kind of use it, but especially when I used to play heads up, I felt that every time when I need to do a decision and I go kind of, I'm not sure what to do, and I decide by HUD, it goes the other way. Like it's always doomed. Okay. When I have to go to my HUD, it's always doomed.
Well, so what if you don't use a HUD, or what? So like if you're at a table, and I'm kind of asking this sort of the opposite side of a recreational player playing PLO, and you see somebody do, this, the X, whatever X is in a PLO game, and you're like, I am at the right table because this person is making a gigantic mistake. What is that thing that you can like instantly say, this person needs to improve at PLO, or I'm at the right table because they're doing this one giant thing that they need to sort of do better?
Well, probably the easiest is limping. I don't think strong players limp too much, or like there might be some guys who play maybe a bottom limp strategy, but if you're not playing like 10-20 or higher, you shouldn't probably worry about that, and you can just count limping players usually as at least a bit weaker. Mm-hmm. So I would start with limping. Then it goes to bet sizing and free betting and stuff like that, like what bet sizes they use on a very dry board, for example.
So we gotta start wrapping up. This is so much fun. I may have missed other questions, guys. Grab me if I've missed any of the other questions in the chat. But there was one more that I thought was interesting. And maybe you're the wrong person to ask about bankroll management based on what you said. I don't know. But Ben was asking if you'd recommend having a separate bankroll for PLO versus no limit hold'em, or would you combine those? Any thoughts on that?
Well.
I
don't really. Yeah. First of all, I'm probably not the guy who you should be asking bankroll management. Even though I'm better now. I'm much better now than.
Good to hear. That's good to hear. Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, I don't.
I mean, because maybe the question is kind of like, because when you think about like hold'em tournaments, they sort of have these different like, hey, you should have X times your average buy-in as your bankroll. Maybe for cash, they have a different sort of rules of thumb. Would you expect there to be?
Yeah, of course. Of course, you're going to need a bit bigger bankroll for PLO than no limit, just because the variance is greater.
Yep.
But then again, if you're a good PLO player, your win rate is likely going to be higher as well than in no limit. So that kind of balances out. Still, I would definitely suggest keeping a bit bigger bankroll for. PLO, maybe double the NL or something like that.
Okay, good. Well, any other questions from the panel or from the folks listening in, Rob?
Just quick question. Do you play any heads up PLO?
I do not that much anymore, or have been playing right now because of the rake thing. But yeah, I still love heads up PLO and NL. I can't make money anymore, but PLO, I still can maybe a bit.
I can't imagine heads up PLO, but I know Phil Gelfand had a challenge where he went heads up PLO against any comers. And so it seemed really odd to be a heads up. I mean, how does heads up PLO work? I mean, I can't imagine.
Well, you kind of sit in and try to create as much pain as possible. Yeah, I have played a couple of hand against Phil on Stars, and yeah, he is definitely. I mean, what he did at that challenge was just fantastic. I think so far.
I love that too. I think you got your T-shirt there. Inflict as much pain as possible. Right, PLO heads up.
Something. That's such a big question. So yeah.
Yeah, John,
go there.
Well, I just have one more question. It seems like their 5-card Omaha or even occasionally 6-card Omaha is becoming more popular, although that might be more so in the limit split pot games. But if you go to a 5-card or a 6-card game, what type of adjustments would you anticipate would need to be made compared to 4-card?
Well, in all forms of poker, that's it's kind of important that your cards play together. So in no limit hold'em, you're gonna want to have like Jack 10 suited or pair or something like that. In PLO, that's gonna come even more important. So you want your all 4 cards working together. You're gonna want to have 2 suits or just like a basic Jack 10, 8, 9 or whatever. In PLO 5, it works the same way. When you add cards, you just want the hand to be nicely playable, working in multiple levels. That would be mine. But then again, I have to say there's few guys in our office that have specialized in PLO 5. I play PLO 4. I mean, I play every now and again PLO 5, but that's not really my specialty.
So so Keith asked, what book or training aid would you recommend for a PLO rookie? So somebody sort of learning the game, obviously knowledge of poker, knowledge of no limit hold'em, but wanting to get more involved in PLO, where would you send them to learn the game?
Well, what I use is this PLO trainer. You can find the link at least on Beast of Poker, and just on Google. It's kind of like a solver, but light version of it. So it's going to give you a perfect pre-flop solutions to basically every stack size you need, and some basic flop spots as well. And there's so much. It's so much nicer to use than Monker or anything else. it's quite user friendly. So that's what I'm using now because I've been quite lazy, not been doing my own simulations. So that's
it does sound like you've been pretty lazy. Yeah, it does sound like you've been kind of.
I've been just playing, but yeah. You
From
should
a study
study as
perspective.
well. You should study.
Well, all right, guys. So I guess let's just wrap it up here. We could talk again for hours and hours. But Sam, how do people connect with you if they're like, man, I just kind of like how this guy thinks, or I want to learn the game, or where can they find you on social media, Twitch, whatever?
Well, through Beast of Poker, probably. There is actually, if you're interested in PLO, you should check our Twitch out. It's usually me and some of my friends getting mildly drunk and playing high-stakes PLO in some form or another. So
is the Twitch channel just Beast of Poker, or what's the Twitch?
Beast of Poker. Beast of Poker, yeah. We actually, on our last Twitch, we actually had Timothy Adams there with me and my friend, and we had some wine and played some Heads Up, No Limit, and PLO. So that's still there up to watch. You're gonna need to subscribe. That's $5, but it's 6 hours of pure madness, basically. Or Tim being very, very casual and very informative, and me and my friend Sampo just kind of messing around. And
well, that's great. I mean, you got a great personality for it, right? It'd be fun to watch. I think, tune in there, watch, just have fun watching it, but you're going to be learning some stuff just listening to these guys and watching how they're playing. So I'd highly recommend you guys check out Beasts of Poker at twitch.tv, and they've got a website and the whole thing there as well. So my last thing for you, Sam, I'd love to hear a little bit of Finnish. I don't know what to have you say, but can you say thanks for listening to Rec Poker in Finnish?
Oh, sure. Kiitos, että kuuntelitte Rec Pokeria.
Yeah.
That's so good.
I understood the last part of that.
Yeah.
No, that's fun, man. Well, thanks so much. You were an absolute delight to have on.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Your energy and your wisdom, and clearly, we're all kind of learning the game still. Some of us are longtime players. Some of us are fairly new. Some of us are pretty advanced. Some of us fairly beginner. But PLO, I mean, John Somsky, the great John Somsky, who says he's no big deal, is a big deal in the Minnesota poker community. But he's kind of getting us involved more and more into mixed games. And so we're starting to really see the merits of playing. It helps our no limit hold'em game. Just the strategy pieces of it, like you said, kind of thinking about how the hand coordinates with each other. But we're finding a lot of enjoyment just playing mixed games. And so it's that we're starting to talk to people like you that we would not talk to. So
yeah, it's definitely true. Like every piece of poker you learn, like it doesn't matter what game. Like if you're picking up a new game, it's gonna help in all the other ones as well. You're not gonna be worse at no limit hold'em because you learn pot limit Omaha. You're actually gonna be a lot better because of it.
Yeah, and that's what I always said. I'm like, when people say, hey, you should play this mixed game or play Omaha, I'm like, I'm still trying to learn one game. And so I was very resistant, but since I have started playing it, I've noticed that I have picked up some things that actually have helped me in the No Limit Hold'em as well. So very, very cool. Well, we got to have you on again at some point. Hopefully you can travel to places that aren't just virtual. Get you back to Australia.
It would be awesome. I miss live poker so much.
Yeah. We all do too. We talk about this. A lot of us, got together to play like the end of February for a tournament locally in Minnesota. And that was the last time a lot of us played. And we were just missing it now. It's been 9 months. And it's crazy. 9-10 months. Yeah. Well, all the best, Sam. Thanks again for jumping on here. We're going to do some Rec Poker Nation community stuff. You're welcome to hang on, but feel free to jump. I know you're trying to get to the elite level. So you got to go put in your other 10,000 hands today. So thanks again.
It's a grind. Thanks for having me, guys. I'm going to go.
That was great.
Take care,
Sam. Really appreciate it.
All right, guys. So that was fun. I'm a kid in the candy store just talking to you guys. What are your reactions, Jonesy?
That was a delight of an interview. It really was. It's like, wow. Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine playing that many hands, and my brain would just fry. It would just fry. Like, I mean, you just have to know the game so well, and you have to be so comfortable in your decisions. You can't. There's like no thinking at that point. It's just reacting. So there's got to be a lot of off the felt work. And he was a little sort of modest about like, I just play. But I think there's a lot of work going into that. So it was a great interview.
Yeah, I didn't know what that Zoom thing was. But you guys had talked about that before, but I didn't recognize the Zoom thing where he's playing 8 tables, but it's not just playing a table and waiting. It's like a lot. Like, oh my God.
As soon as you hit fold, you get dealt more cards.
I would never hit fold. I was so scared.
Back in the day, I could probably, and I couldn't do this now. Now, like 2 tables is my max, but I could maybe do 4 to 5 tables. I occasionally did up to 8, but that was like, I don't think I was a winning player at 8. I was just doing that, and I was trying to get some rake back points. Yep. Kind of doing something stupid, kind of like what he mentioned.
Totally.
But that was all the normal, just wait and play. So you don't only have a hand in maybe half of the games at most at once. But when I went to play, I played, Zoom or these fast fold games, and playing 2 tables is about all I can handle. And that's almost too much for me. I'm much more comfortable at that form, just playing 1 at a time, because again, you do get another card.
Yeah. You're playing all the time.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I think anyone who wants to go out and try that just for fun at the lowest stakes, I encourage you to do that. It'll be an interesting little lesson in multitasking.
Record yourself doing it. Like we want to see you record yourself doing it. Like I feel like I want to go do that and just see what happens. But
yeah, I used to back in like 2013. I would 2 tables Zoom and that was that. And I think I was a winning player at that point. But anything more than that, you're just in a tough decision every second of the time. Like it's insane. It's insane. It's insane.
Is that something you've done, Rob?
Yeah, I've done it. They have these. I can't remember what they're called now on ACR, where you can win a next level up if you get to a certain amount of chips. And it's like this: the minute you fold, you're in a new hand. And it's actually, I think it's pretty easy because you just get crap cards, 2-7, you just fold, boom. You just boom, boom. It's very easy to be disciplined and wait till you get a good hand and you get kind of a nice hand that somebody raises. You go, well, shit, it's not good anymore. And then you fold that and go on to the next.
Or you just decide, I'm just going to play until I get aces again. And normally, that might be all day that you'd have to play to do that. But in fast fold poker, you can get through those 221 hands pretty darn quick.
You bring up a great point. Like, you're going to be less tempted to play the old Queen 10 early position like you might be if you're playing single table kind of board.
Yeah, and you get a new table every time, so you don't actually get a chance to establish an image or get notes on anybody. And even if you're using a HUD, often the way the HUDs work is they update to the last hand, and so you still don't actually have any usable information on the people on the table in front of you. So it's you have to play against the player pool rather than against the players. So it's very, very different strategy.
Yeah, well, good stuff, guys. That was super fun and a lot of great chat going on. I wish you could just read the chat to everybody, but a lot of good stuff. We got Ben and Doug, Keith, Martha, and Troy all in the chat kind of making some great comments. So if you're a member, man, you guys should be jumping in here on these recordings. There's a lot of good stuff happening with that deal. Yeah, and to bring that point up, we do have it's time for our I guess, drawing winner. What do we call this? This is a giveaway.
Giveaway.
It's just a giveaway. It's a giveaway of a coupon. $50 discount or redemption, I guess, a refund if you already bought it, but to the free Jatin training course. So Jim is going to do his magic nerd die, which probably is just a regular die tonight.
This one's just a regular die. If we had one fewer people, I got to use my nerdy 4 die. And if we had a couple more, I could do my nerdy 8 die, but I'm just going to use my normal old-fashioned 6 die for this.
All right, so this is for a $50 discount coupon off the free Jatin training course.
That's right. We'll strike the 6, and we'll just go down alphabetically from 5. It is a 1. Ben.
Nice.
Ben Enslow gets $50 off the training course. Ben, send Jim at rec.poker an email just to get that into the system, and I'll update it in the spreadsheet there. Congratulations. You are going to love that course, man. You are. Ben and I have been talking in a lot of these study sessions that we're doing and some of the other learning things that Chris is running and Rob's running. And Ben, you're going to really enjoy that course. So
yeah, so Freed has sent me 3 of the recordings from prior course, and it's fantastic. The training is great. It's very interactive. His personality shines through. People are really engaged. So super excited. Kind of can't wait for February to get here so we can do that course. But let's transition. We can talk a little bit about that, but maybe let's just jump into the home game stuff. Maybe we'll let John. John, do you want to be good cop, bad cop? You want me to be the bad cop first and tell people what they should do, or do you want to?
Sure. Why don't you start off as bad cop, and then I'll be
bad cop. Well, so John's figured out this whole thing, and we've been reminding you guys forever. And frankly, I've been helping people that struggle with some of the technology do this, and I'm willing to do this. But so you guys are playing the home games. This episode is going to release on December 29th. That means you have 2 days. If you are still, I'm not going to be in the new home game. Oh, Rob, I can hear your background there. But you got to get stuff figured out. So here's the deal. If you do not have your PokerStars alias, your username, in your Rec Poker account, which is free, by the way, to get your Rec Poker account, you have to put that alias in your Rec Poker profile. You go in there, there's a profile where you put your name, your email, whatever your stuff you have in there. There's kind of this extra button. It's sort of an extended profile. You click on that, and where it says PokerStars username, you put that in there. It has to be exactly the same as your PokerStars username. I've had a couple of misspaces and misspellings and that sort of thing. Get it right, because that's going to be our connect the dot sort of thing. These two, we don't know if you're in both places unless you do that. And again, you can listen to my diatribe several weeks ago about why this is important. We're not just trying to cause pain. This is about building community. It's about being able to record results. It's about being able to aggregate results and do all kinds of fun stuff at our award show. And we're pushing people to do that because it's that important to sort of our overall model of community. So I'm kind of being the bad cop saying, get it out there, get it done. If you think, well, I'm not going to worry about that, you can do that. But January 1st, when you go try to pop in the home game, you're going to be suspended. And you're going to say, what's going on? And we're going to have about 150 of you that are going to say that. So we're trying to reduce that number so that between 8 o'clock and 8:40 p.m. that on January 1st, John and I aren't scrambling to get everybody signed up. So please do that and tell your friends. John has been putting out lists on Discord, on Facebook, on Twitter of who we don't have that information for. If you're on that list, and you don't think you should be, then reach out to us, Steve at Rec.Poker. We'll figure it out. So there's the bad cop stuff. John, what's the good news?
You know how we can't actually let John say anything without interrupting him. So I'll step in and be the medium cop here for a second and just point out that on the first Wednesday of January is the monthly No Limit Hold'em series, the first game of 2021. So if you're not in the club by the first Wednesday in January, you're going to lose a chance to win some Player of the Year points, a whole 1/12 of the available Player of the Year points for the entire year.
This might help me.
So
what am I doing? I could have maybe made it if we cut out the first one.
That's a good point.
Jamel and Taylor, have they signed up yet? Because don't tell them.
Oh.
Yeah.
I might just suspend them anyway.
Okay, good.
Yeah, but don't let that be you, folks. Trust me, this is a tough pool. You need each one of those 12 months to win your way into the final in December. So don't miss the first Wednesday of the month. Get yourself in the club. Thanks, guys. All right, John,
good.
You can be the good cop now.
Well, before I'm the good cop, I need to read a little bit of the chat and be a little bit of a bad cop. We had a request from Doug Drayback, who's also known as Magra44. If we could rename all of the home games because he does much better in those.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone has less of a leg to stand on.
Yeah. What are you talking
complaining about not doing well enough in the home games than Doug Drayback.
Doug Drayback.
So, no, we are not going to do that.
Yeah, we're sorry, Doug. You only have 10 wins in the regular nightly series. Sorry you're so bad in those.
We might have to rename them to something like, this is the Unlucky for Doug series or something like that. Okay, also, we do have, just to let you know where we're sitting as of today, we have 314 people in our home game club. 150 of those people are safe. You've done everything you need to do.
Nice.
Come January, you're going to be there. But that means January morning, I need to go through and click a resign button 164 times for the other 164 people. So please just sign up before then. It will make my life easier. It'll make your life easier. There's a little tutorial there on how to fill out the information on the page. So we're trying to make it as easy as possible. If anything's not easier, or if anyone has gone through this and says, you know what would make this easier? let us know, because we're trying to make this as painless of a process as possible.
Yeah, basically, we're going to assume you just don't like John if you don't do it. John, we're going to start taking this personally. Why do you not like John? Why do you hate John so much, listener, that hasn't done this?
He's the nicest guy in poker. What's going on?
I could actually understand that, but remember, this also affects the rest of the panel too. So the members of the panel that you do like,
It's because I'm going to be from 8 o'clock to 8:40 having all of these emails that come to me, and that'll happen, and I'm ready for it. I probably won't even play that night, but there'll be a bunch of them saying, why am I suspended? There's a lot of steps because we really tried to detail it out to make it really user-friendly, but practically it's very simple. Go to your Rec.Poker membership profile and add your PokerStars username. That's it. The rest of it is all the details on how to get that done. So if you look at it and say, well, that's daunting, but philosophically, it's not that much that we're asking you to do. So.
Okay, now let's actually get to the results that we started about a half an hour ago. So we had our very first No Limit Hold'em Championship Series Tournament of Champions on Wednesday, December 16th. For this, we allowed 18 players into there, and there were 6 alternates waiting in the wings. Only one of those alternates actually got to play, and 17 of the people signed up. And none other than Walk This Way, Steve Olson, won the very first inaugural No Limit Hold'em Tournament of Champions Series.
Nice run.
Yeah, I've never met Steve Olson, but I've seen Walk This Way around the tables since we started this thing, and he's a killer. Way to go, Steve! That was awesome.
Yeah, he was playing a lot early on, and the last few months he hasn't been playing as often. Mm-hmm. So it was really nice to come and have him come back and play. Although, given that he won, I was kind of regretting that, I had to nudge him a couple of times to make sure he actually signed up.
I would like to know if, Steve, if you're listening, I'd like to know if you're wearing the Rec Poker sweatshirt or the Thin Lizzy sweatshirt. He's sort of known in these parts for the Thin Lizzy sweatshirt. So that's what I want to know.
And this last week, we also had another Tournament of Champions. It was our daily series Tournament of Champions on Monday, December 14th. And Gloves 1010, Colin Anderson won his very first Tournament of Champions. And, of course, both of these players got the coveted silver pin, or will get it eventually.
And Colin finished second the month before, so real nice.
Yeah, Colin's been on a killer run. I take my hat off, but my headset's in the way. Hats off to you.
Yeah, and I'll have you know that, a week or two ago, I called dibs on both of these tournaments.
You did. That's true.
It must be that no one honors dibs anymore. The
rules of dibs are pretty clear.
I know. I called it, but no one else accommodated.
Right, Doug? Shotgun, exactly. That's the reference. The rules of shotgun are very
nice. Nice.
All right. So, on our daily series, December 14th, I Hate to Lose, William Alexander got his 5th title. Tech Geek 65, Jacob Kike got his 9th daily series title. Glassjaw 22222 got his first daily series title. Licorice Guy David Stevens got his 2nd daily series title. Hiker 10 got his second daily, his or her second series title. Yep, you got to keep me honest there. Chad McVean got his 3rd daily series title.
Nice.
And I Hate to Lose, William Alexander won his first daily mixed title. That's the practice mixed game that we done.
Wow.
Illy Chippies, Jill Burke got her first daily series international title. And those are the games that we play on Saturdays at 8 a.m. Central Time and 2 p.m. Central Time. And, of course, Megra 44, this comes from him complaining about not winning enough. He did win his 7th daily or international series title, Doug Graybeck.
And he also wins the Sportsmanship Award, I think, in that particular tournament, where Doug felt like he did win it and he earned it, but he thought that someone else had done a really good job. And he wanted to draw our attention to the fact that maybe someone else should have gotten that pin. So, Doug, nicely done, sir, but you won that. You deserve it. And you wear that pin with pride.
Absolutely. And that's one of the reasons why we're not putting an asterisk next to this one, even though I wanted to. Then pulling up the rear, we have Graphic 16, Roger Shute, got his 8th daily series win. So we're getting a lot of people. Next year, what I'm planning on doing is I'm going to be announcing what you have won in that year. I'll also have the numbers for lifetime, but so everyone has a chance to start fresh. And in 2021, you can be the one who wins the most games that year. You'll be at the same starting point that Doug Drabeck is on January 1st.
Man, so, good luck anyway. Good Lord.
Take use of
it. Yeah, great stuff there as always, John. Amazing how many tournaments, like, a year ago, who would have imagined we were running 9 tournaments or a week, sometimes more, with the tournament champions and having the turnout that we're having. It's been super fun. I know people are loving it. I won't say names just in case they're wondering, but like I know we have about 8 people playing every night that are senior citizens that are like 80 years old and plus that are part of this group. I didn't realize this until recently. That they're all Rob and his buddies, but no, that are playing this and they're like loving it because they're getting this interaction. And thank you to all of your people out there that are making comments out there and stuff people are just enjoying that interaction. They're playing online poker for free at Rec Poker. They're shut in right now because of COVID and just life. And there's a group of them that are playing this thing kind of together and they're loving it. And so super excited that we could bring that gift to people. And so just keep being a positive community out there. People are digging it, and that's really what differentiates us. So keep being friendly and keep being fun, and to shout out to you guys out there, you know who you are. Just delighted that you're part of this journey with us. All right, John. Anything else on the home game front? I think we only spent about 20 minutes on that, so we're probably good.
Yeah, I think we covered it.
Good stuff, man. All right, fantastic. Well, who else has some things to chat about?
Well, Troy has a question in the chat about getting feedback on the survey. So we did send out a survey to get some nominations for some categories because we're doing this Rec Poker Awards on January 27th. And so by the time you hear this, you should still be able to vote, I think, on some of the nominees in those categories. So, Steve, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I'm just looking up something. So by the time you hear this, so we sent out the survey. We've gotten at least 30 responses that I've last heard of from people, and that was really about soliciting some ideas for nominees for them. I'm not sure. Probably a week from now, the 29th, it'll be close. So we'll either still be looking for that, or we'll have sent out a new survey that's saying, all right, it's time to vote. We have created our nominees, and some of those categories we're going to put out and have Rec Poker Nation vote on those. Who should win this thing? Whether it's the most creative username, whether it's the performance of the year, which, by the way, Jacob Kecke or Keek, for somebody who's just started half the year in, 9 wins now, he's got to be considered. You got the Mager thing going on. You've got what Mike Patrick's done in the mixed game. So a lot of really cool things coming up. But anyway, to answer your question, good feedback, good participation. But the next survey will be about a vote for the winner. So that'll be super fun. And I just want to, since we're talking about the award show real quick, again, it's January 27th. It's going to be super fun. We're planning on 90 minutes. It's going to be action-packed front to end. I think right now we probably got about 4 hours of stuff planned, so we'll be carving that. I mean, Jim, you saw what Danny and Colin have come up with, and it's amazing. We're like, we got to rein this in a little bit because it's so much fun. But here's a list of folks that have agreed to present awards for us that night. So far, we've got commitments from Adam Friedman, 3-time WSOP bracelet winner, Merv Harvey, Running Aces, Chad Holloway from Poker News, KL Clayton, Dutch Boyd, Chris Moneymaker, Robbie Straczynski, Elliot Rowe, Diva Byrne, Dara O'Kearney, Nate Mavis, Jonathan Little, Zach Elwood, Tommy Angelo, Sky Matsuhashi, and Lexi Gavin. So far, those are the folks that are going to be presenting awards to our winners. So it's going to be a blast, you guys. I'm super excited.
It's going to be so much fun. It's such a cool crowd coming, and I know we've got so many great members here at Rec Poker Nation that I can't wait to kind of single out and celebrate and get to know a little better too. And I mean, we've got 4 hours just of giveaways. I don't know how we're going to cram that into 90 minutes, but you definitely want to be there from the start to the finish. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, good point. What else? What other news we got? So anything else going on, Chris?
Yeah, just January's coming. I think we've got a really excited. We're going to be doing. I think as we're kind of really thinking about 2021, I think it's going to be, I don't know when it's going to happen, but I think at some point 2021 is going to be kind of the return to live poker. I think that's going to happen at some point. I think it's going to be a really exciting thing for us, for our community, for the whole poker community. So we're going to focus our January seminar on one that people asked for sort of pre-COVID, but I think it's still very relevant, especially as we're kind of gearing up for that. So it's going to be all about tells and reads. And to help us out with that seminar, we've actually got I don't know if Mike Caro or Zach Elwood is the godfather of tells, but Zach Elwood's going to be joining us for that. So our plan for the seminar is to have a good segment and conversation with him, and then we're going to actually go through and we're going to look at a couple of live tables and have the whole panel kind of look at the, not really looking at the hands, not really looking at analyzing, flop texture and that kind of thing, but just really looking at the behaviors of players and like what's going on at the table and talking about some of that thought process. So that should be a really fun seminar, be kind of a different format than one we've ever done before, but I think it'll be kind of a fun one to look forward to.
And premium members get to come and join us for those seminars. So just in case you want to spend an hour talking with Zach Elwood about poker tells, I mean, come and join us for that. That sounds like a pretty amazing time. I am so excited for the seminar.
Yeah, we should give away. I've still got a few of his books. Like once before, like last year, a couple years ago, he gave us a bunch of books. We gave a bunch away. I still got a couple more. So watch for more giveaways on that stuff too. It's really, really good stuff. Awesome, Chris. Anything else, Rob? Anything on the book study we need to know about?
Well, we probably have another 2 sessions. Probably one session for the first week of January. And the third week of January, I'd like to get Fox on and do a QA to kind of complete the whole process. So giving Jim a heads up because I know he's the scheduling maven that we have here.
Got it.
And if he can schedule Fox for that second Wednesday or third Wednesday of January, we can wrap that up before we go into the varied training that starts in February, right?
Yep.
So as soon as that's done, then we'll look for another book, and we've got some suggestions from some of our members. The more suggestions, the better, and we'll see what we can find that everybody is really excited to get into, and we'll get into it.
Awesome. And yeah, we are, just a note to our premium members, we are going to be taking the month of February off our Wednesday night rotation. So the book study, the focus, the strat chat, those will be deferred to make room for this free chat and course that's happening on Wednesday and Friday evenings. But it'll be missing, but it'll be back in no time. And you can always email Rob at rec.poker if you need a little Rob fix.
Tell him you miss him.
Yeah.
he's out on the road right now. He's binking tournaments anyway. Congratulations, Rob.
Yeah, man.
Especially on the Orleans win. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun playing live again, even though you're separated by a plexiglass and I'm hitting my hands with the disinfectant every 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's interesting, definitely.
When I saw that, I mean, it made me want to go to the basement and get some poker chips and see if I can still shuffle them. Like, I haven't shuffled chips now for 10 months or whatever, so I don't know if I still can.
Gotta keep your fingers dexterous.
Oh, look at Joe!
Got him by the computer.
Sometimes, right?
Yes.
Keep it rolling here.
Dude, that's much cooler than dice. That's much cooler than dice.
That's how I learned is while I was playing online. I had some poker chips and I was just sit there shuffle them online long before I ever tried it live.
Jonesy, I want to hear that. I don't know if I could hear that through your microphone. I want to hear chip shuffling. It's been so long. Can I hear it or no?
I don't know. Can you hear? No.
It's
a pretty one-way microphone. So.
Yeah, it's on purpose.
I could lean down by the chips, but that might get a little weird.
Our man Ben in the chat says that's how he learned to do it too. He always keeps a stack going by the desktop when he's rocking online. Good for you, Ben. That's awesome.
Yes, these guys are amazing. All right. Well, good stuff, Rob. Yeah, thanks. Perfect timing with the Freed stuff. And just to mention that, I guess the Freed, if we haven't announced it enough, it's rocking and rolling. We're filling up spots. I think we've got about 10 spots that are gone. And it will be limited. We haven't set that cap yet, but I know it's going to be limited. He likes to have some interaction with folks. So we're still working through what that number is going to be. But if you're curious about the thing, if you have any questions, go to rec.poker. We got to go to the shop. We got the free training stuff out there. There's discounts for signing up before the end of December. There's discounts for becoming a free member, a premium member. all kinds of discounts available. And then we got all these giveaways and coupons that we're giving out all over the place. If you're not paying attention, Jim is putting Easter eggs all over the place too. So in the twerp newsletter, on the forums, there's different places where they're hidden little things that say, do this thing. You get entered in the drawing. And then every week we do a Facebook Live. We pull a name out of the hat, and that's $50 off the course. If you've already bought the course, we'll just refund you the money. So it's not like you're going to lose it. So sign up if you want to sign up. Get your spot now. It locks it in. I guess this airs on the 29th. So by the end of the year, it's going to be $50 more. Not a ton more, but it all helps right around Christmas. So it would be nice to save yourself $50 and get signed up now. Anything else that we need to chat about, guys? I see heads shaking. Anybody in the chat? Any questions? Anything we're missing there? Pop it in there. Okay. Well, with that, why don't we? I'm going to give Jim some sort of a cue. My hand just turned green. That's really weird. We'll give Jim some sort of a cue here. Oh, he started it already. Well, okay. Well, I'll just talk once over. But I'm not going to be rushed. This guy, he says, give me a cue.
You did.
Well,
you waved. You said, I'm giving Jim a cue, and you waved.
I did.
Oh, one of these days.
I'm on Jim's side here.
Well,
I'm sorry, Steve.
When I say the word running aces, that's the cue. But now that was my fault. I did wave. I meant, hey, I'll give you a cue. And then I got all excited about my hand turning green.
That's okay. I'm just going to pay attention. Let's do it twice.
Let's just play it twice.
We'll take you behind the curtain because in the forums episode we recorded last time, I missed the intro one. So your audience is due one extra credits tune. We'll
do it twice. Is that what we're saying?
That's what we're going to say.
All right. So when I do this, see, this is great. Yeah, he's going to do it again
when I say Mark.
All right, guys. That's enough of that. All right, so go to rec.poker, check it out, sign up for the newsletter. Thanks to our sponsors He started it again. Thanks to our sponsors Running Aces Racetrack Casino and Hotel, Website Amp, Learn Pro Poker, the small business community. Thanks to our guest, man. That was super fun to have Sam on here. I don't know why you did that again there, Jim. That one clearly was not my fault, but thanks to Samuli, Sipila, known as Sam from Finland. Fantastic guest. Thanks to our panel, Jim, Chris, John, Rob. Thanks to the folks that joined us in the chat. That was super fun. We'll catch you next time. Take care.